There's a moment a lot of people experience, but almost nobody talks about it. It usually happens quietly. Maybe you're in your late 20s, maybe early 30s. Your income looks decent on paper. Your career isn't terrible. You're doing what everyone said to do. Study, get a job, earn more each year. You're not broke. But one day you check your bank account, or maybe your investments, or maybe you realize you don't actually have any, and a strange thought shows up. Wait, where did all the money go? Not in a dramatic way, just slowly. A bit on rent, a bit on lifestyle, a bit on convenience, a bit on things that felt normal at the time. And suddenly 5 years have passed, 10 for some people, and the uncomfortable realization creeps in. I've been earning, but I haven't actually been building wealth. Here's the part that stings a little. Most people don't notice this mistake when it starts. They notice it years later. When time, the one asset you can't buy back, has already moved on. And what makes this worse is that the mistake doesn't look like a mistake at all. It looks like a perfectly normal life. But once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this happens, why intelligent people fall into it, and why this single financial blind spot quietly costs people decades. Idea 1. The I'm doing fine illusion. Most financial mistakes don't start with reckless behavior. They start with something far more subtle, a quiet assumption. I'm doing fine. You got the job. You're paying your bills. You can afford dinner out occasionally. Life feels stable, and stability is comforting. But here's the strange part about money. Stability can hide stagnation. You can earn a good salary, live a comfortable life, and still make almost no progress financially. Not because you're irresponsible, but because the system around you quietly pushes spending forward faster than wealth. Think about how life upgrades actually happen. First paycheck upgrade. All right, I deserve a nicer apartment. Next raise. Maybe I'll upgrade the car. Promotion. Yeah, flights instead of long drives. None of these feel outrageous. They feel reasonable. Actually, they feel earned. And look, fair enough. You worked hard. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't notice until later. Your lifestyle quietly grows at the same speed as your income, sometimes faster. And when that happens, something important disappears. Financial breathing room. Now pause for a second. If your income doubled tomorrow, would your investments double? Or would your lifestyle? Be honest. Because the difference between those two answers is the difference between earning well and building wealth. And most people don't realize which path they're on until much later. Idea 2. The dangerous delay. Here's a thought that feels harmless at first. You've probably heard it before. Maybe you've even said it to yourself. I'll start investing later. Not because you don't believe in investing, just because, well, life feels busy right now. Rent's high. Student loans exist. Maybe you're still figuring out your career. So the plan becomes, I'll focus on earning first. Then I'll worry about investing later. Sounds logical. But here's where the trap hides. Money grows in a strange way. Not linearly, but exponentially. Which means the early years matter way more than they appear to. And most people underestimate this badly. Imagine two people. One starts investing modestly at 22. Nothing flashy, just consistent. The other waits until 32, but invests more aggressively. You'd expect the second person to catch up. But in most cases, they don't. Because compounding doesn't just reward money. It rewards time. And time is the one thing nobody can accelerate later. Once it's gone, it's gone. Now here's the uncomfortable question. How many years have already passed since you earned your first real paycheck? 2? 5? Maybe more? And how much of that time was quietly lost to I'll start later? Don't worry, this isn't about guilt. It's about awareness. Because the earlier someone notices this, the more years they still have on their side. But the people who ignore it, they're usually the ones who feel it the hardest in their late 30s. That's when the math suddenly becomes less forgiving. Idea 3, the identity trap. This next one is subtle, and honestly a bit psychological. For a lot of people, income becomes part of identity. You might not say it out loud, but internally it feels like progress. My salary is higher now. My career is moving up. I'm doing all right. And again, none of this is wrong. But here's the catch. Income is visible. Wealth usually isn't. Your friends know where you work. They know your job title. They might even know your salary range. But they almost never know your investment accounts, or your net worth, or how financially secure you actually are. So guess which one people unconsciously optimize for? The visible one. Career growth, title upgrades, income increases. And those are good things. But when identity becomes tied only to earning, something dangerous happens. You start measuring progress the wrong way. More income starts feeling like more wealth, even when it isn't. You could earn $120,000 a year, spend $115,000 of it, and technically be doing well on paper, socially, but financially, you're barely moving. And the strange thing is, this situation is incredibly common. Across the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, pretty much every developed economy. High earners, low net worth, not because they're reckless, but because nobody ever explained the difference between looking financially successful and actually becoming financially secure. And that gap can last for years, sometimes decades. Idea 4, the discomfort moment. All right, this is the moment where a lot of viewers pause the video for a second, not because anything dramatic happened, but because a quiet realization appears. Something like, hang on, this might actually be about me. Maybe you've been working for 5 years, maybe 10. Your income has grown, your lifestyle improved, but your investments, your assets, your financial safety net, those haven't grown at the same speed. And suddenly the math becomes clear. If nothing changes, the next 5 years might look exactly like the last 5. Same pattern, same spending rhythm, same delayed investing, same quiet assumption that future you will handle it. But here's the truth most people only see later. Future you is built by today's systems, not intentions, not motivation. Systems. And when someone finally understands that, their financial trajectory usually changes. Not overnight, but permanently. Which leads to the real shift. The biggest financial advantage you can create in your 20s isn't a high salary. It's not finding the perfect investment. It's not predicting markets. It's something much simpler. Clarity. Clarity about what actually builds wealth. Because once that becomes clear, your behavior starts to change, naturally. You begin noticing opportunity cost everywhere. That expensive lifestyle upgrade? You start wondering what that money would look like invested for 10 years. That salary raise? Instead of expanding your spending immediately, you pause. You design systems first. Automatic investing, consistent contributions, quiet, boring discipline, nothing flashy, nothing social media would celebrate. But over time, something powerful happens. Your income continues growing, and your assets grow with it, which creates something most people chase for years without realizing it. Financial optionality, the ability to say no, the ability to change careers, the ability to take risks, the ability to slow down if life demands it. That freedom doesn't come from income alone. It comes from assets quietly working in the background. And the earlier that machine starts running, the more powerful it becomes. Here's the calm reality. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to invest huge amounts. You don't need to become a finance expert. You just need to avoid the mistake most people realize too late. Delaying the wealth building system. Once that system exists, time starts working with you instead of against you. And that changes everything. Now here's the interesting part. Many people watching this video will recognize the mistake we just talked about. But there's another financial illusion that causes this problem. In the first place, it's the reason people can earn more money than ever before and still feel like wealth is always just slightly out of reach. If you want to understand why that happens, watch the next video on your screen. Why your income feels high but your wealth isn't. Because once you understand that idea, your entire relationship with money starts to shift. And honestly, that realization alone has saved people years of financial frustration. I'll see you there.